Anarchy in a country is dangerous. Sasa hivi ukiingia kule State House ungoe rais unconstitutionally, kitu inafanyika ni hii, jeshi inachukua.
On June 25th, Kenya came dangerously close to a situation the country has not seen in decades, a possible military takeover. What started as a youth-led protest against the finance bill and police atrocities quickly escalated into something far more serious. For the first time, protesters came within a stone's throw of the gates of Statehouse, and according to Majority Whip Sylvanus Osoro, that moment could have triggered a full-blown military intervention. Behind the scenes, tensions was at a breaking point. The Kenya Defence Forces KDF had reportedly been put on standby as crowds swelled and surged across Nairobi. What shocked many was the speed and intensity of the protests. It wasn't just a demonstration anymore. The State House, a symbol of executive authority, had suddenly become a possible target of public fury. Security agencies knew that if State House was breached, even symbolically, the aftermath would be unpredictable, and as Osoro revealed, a KDF-led military takeover was a very real possibility that night.
Wale polisi ambao munaona hapa, hawa mapolisi wote wanakuwa raia. Kama kuna bunduki kwa mkono, anaenda nayo nyumbani. Kama ni prison, kama kuna watu prison, wanaachiliwa kwa sababu kila mtu anaenda nyumbani. Bunduki zinaanza kuzunguka hapa.
A military takeover in Kenya will not be a casual affair. It would involve the declaration of a national state of emergency. Civilian authority, including parliament, would be suspended. The constitution could be set aside temporarily as the military assumes control over all arms of government. In that scenario, the president, cabinet secretaries, and even the inspector general of police would likely be sidelined and their powers absorbed into a military command structure. But the most jarring detail is what follows after such a move. According to Osoro, one of the protocols in a military state involves an unprecedented release of prisoners across the country. This isn't theoretical. In several countries where coups have taken place, prisons are often opened either to destabilize opposition, eliminate political detainees, or force a state of fear that justifies extended military control. That's not all. The police force, already under pressure for how it handled the protests, would likely be disbanded or placed directly under military rule. Civil liberty, including media freedom, the right to assemble, and even access to social media would be suspended. Curfews would be imposed, travel restricted, and political parties dissolved or disbanded from operating temporarily. Kenya has never experienced a full-blown military regime in its post-independent era, but the events of June 25th came closer to that reality than most citizens realize. That day, the normally laid-back tone of Nairobi's power corridors shifted into high alert. The presence of military-grade hardware around strategic installations was no coincidence. The government wasn't just reacting to protesters, it was bracing for a scenario in which the traditional line between civilian and military power might blur.
Mr. Speaker, I have seen what a failed state is like. People were laughing the other day, yesterday, that Bangladesh civilians have gone and taken over the State House. Bangladesh is under military rule today as we talk. It's under military rule, and watch what is going to happen.
The protesters, mostly young tech-savvy Kenyans, had not just shaken the government, but had they gone a step further and entered State House grounds, whether peacefully or not, the military's response would have been swift and brutal. Under KDF doctrine, any threat to national sovereignty or key government installations can activate emergency defense protocols. According to reports, the heavy presence of both the National Police Service and the Kenya Defence Forces around State House on that day was deliberate. It wasn't just about keeping protesters out, it was about preventing a spark that would force the military to take over the running of the country. Such a takeover, once activated, is extremely difficult to reverse. In most cases, the military does not hand back power quickly. In other African countries like Burkina Faso and Guinea, similar interventions have lasted years. Civilian rule is replaced with decrease, democratic institutions are suspended, and often the only way out is through external pressure or prolonged instability.
Is that the country we want? Is that the country you want? Mimi ninaomba kanisa na kila mtu ya kwamba tuuze amani, tupendane, tuache hasira. Ukikasirika na mimi sawa, lakini ngoja tu.
Osoro's remarks now sheds light on how close Kenya came to crossing that line. The protests were about economic frustration, yes, but they nearly triggered something much deeper, a crisis of governance and the reconfiguration of power in the country. Kenyans, in their justified anger over the finance bill and other police atrocities, almost set off a chain reaction with far-reaching consequences. The military was ready, the situation was tense, and for a few hours, the fate of the country hung in the balance. That a takeover was thwarted is not just a lucky break, it's a warning, because next time, it might not be just a protest.
Haiwezi maliza ati unasema kwamba mimi nasema one time, alafu unasema wacha tushikane kama vijana, tuelekee njia moja, tuende mpaka Statehouse, ati tutoe president kwa Statehouse. It cannot be that way. Hiyo sio demokrasia. Demokrasia ni kwamba uimbe hiyo one time yako, ungoje miaka 5, upige kura yako vile unaamua, na sisi tupige kura yetu vile tunaamua, kura zihesabiwe, yule atashinda atangazwe. Anarchy in a country is dangerous. Sasa hivi ukiingia kule Statehouse, ungoe rais unconstitutionally, kitu inafanyika ni hii. Jeshi inachukua. Wale polisi ambao mnaona hapa, au mapolisi wote wanakuwa raia. Kama kuna bunduki kwa mkono, anaenda nayo nyumbani. Kama ni prison, kama kuna watu prison, wanaachiliwa kwa sababu kila mtu anaenda nyumbani. Bunduki zinaanza kuzunguka hapa. Wakora wanaanza kuzunguka hapa. Kenya inaharibika. Is that the country?
The message from the inner crisis is clear. The line between protest and revolution is thinner than many think. Kenya's stability, often taken for granted, came under stress that day. And while the protesters succeeded in pushing the government to rethinking its position, they also brought the country dangerously close to a chapter it might not be ready for: military rule.
You will remove him through the constitutional means in 2027. Beat him at the ballot. That is what I also wanted to say. The CSS to do their work, members of parliament to do their work, the president to be given time to do his work. If he fails, we go that route constitutionally. Because if we go the anarchy way, you have seen Khartoum, you've seen Somalia. Even as an opposition member of parliament, I wouldn't want us to go that way.
Mr. Speaker, I have seen what a failed state is like. People were laughing the other day, yesterday, that Bangladesh civilians have gone and taken over the Statehouse. Bangladesh is under military rule today as we talk. It's under military rule, and watch what is going to happen.